Hi, C.J. My name is Mary. First of all, I want to congratulate you on a lifetime of focused work on helping children achieve in school. And she's a graduate of the Cleveland Public Schools also. What I want to mention and ask you about the question of funding. As you know, in the 80s, there was a free clinic, the school-based clinic at East High. This is the same population of kids. And we said one of our objectives was, well, their attendance will increase because they'll have every day there'll be doctors and nurses there. Well, come to find out, after 3 or 4 years, East High had the highest college entry rate, higher than the whole rest of the district together. And that kind of coincides with what you're talking about here, where these interventions by nonprofit and caring people really make a substantial difference. And I think here in Cleveland, we've got Cleveland Clinic, charity, quote unquote charity hospital. We've got organizations that have the knowledge and the wherewithal. And I really think we could pull it off more so, do it better than we have been doing it. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're lighting a fire under all these efforts. And I'd like you to just say a few more words about those kinds of not-for-profit interventions.
Well, first of all, it costs money. Even if they're not-for-profit, if it's like a Friendly Inn or Neighborhood House or Merrick House, we have contracts with most of them. Contracts meaning that they are going to do a service with those kids, like Lincoln West, I believe, works with Merrick House, working with the boys on pregnancy prevention. Just has got a class on that with them. Keep your penis in your pocket. And, and because when we look at this and we have a father that's 14, what does that mean? What does that cost us? Thank you very much. You understand what I'm saying? So it's the prevention here that's so critical. First of all, I've been disappointed with the level of volunteerism. I really have. I've been disappointed with us not seeing this as something we must do. I'll say that. I've been disappointed. And everybody else is for pay. There's no such, you would think that, I remember all the money right after the Huff riots, and I think there still is one of the places where a lot of federal dollars come into Huff. You think that you'd be able to, if you've got a community center, now some of them do that. If you've got a community center and it's already getting federal dollars from XYZ, why couldn't our kids participate in that without charge? Well, because it's the same kids, you know what I'm saying? Well, in the Department of Education, I'm trying to lead a discussion now that says, okay, what are we doing with our drug and safe-free school money? Because, it has the same requirement in terms of providing professional development to kids, preventing dropouts. So that money ought to be on the table as we look at this, as opposed to some Mickey Mouse program. What are we doing with the Century 21 federal dollars? What about Title I? One of the things that I'm excited about in terms of the governor's his reform packet, I was on the phone the other day, how they do the conference call and the phone is in the middle of the table, everybody's around it and you're on the phone someplace else. So I'm trying to hear what he was saying, but I think one of the components is this whole idea of looking at Title I dollars and making it go through high school. They have said that once the kids get in high school that they don't want to admit that they're Title I or free and reduced lunch. They don't want to apply for a card because of embarrassment. And so consequently, then you sort of write them off as Title I schools. When the same feeder school, K-8 school, they're all Title I, which means extra dollars from the federal government. But I'm trying to say we need to collapse those kinds of programs, what we can control, and begin to target those dollars and not have them operate as silos. Because basically we've got silos throughout the city, throughout the state, that I'm working on my piece of the pie and I ain't talking to you. And yet we're both getting the same dollars for the same group of kids. And that's part of what we're trying to shed away is those silos.
Hi, C.J. I'm interested in hearing you expand more on this linkage program of yours. Who chooses it, what's their obligations, and to who do they report? Number two, it seemed to me like there was too much money and time spent on how to pass a test and not as much money and time spent on education. I'd like to hear you expand on both of them. And I know you can.
Okay, the linkage coordinator. I will tell you, and I'm not a sexist nor I raised my kids as a single mom. But to see 31 African American males from across the state in a room, all of them with some kind of higher degree of some kind or another, lawyers, ex-cops, ex-teachers, ex-social workers that are all linkage coordinators throughout the state is a sight to see. I almost want to cry when I see the caliber of men that have been attracted to this program. First of all, they are hired by each school district. I thought, but they're responsible to us and the schools, so they sort of like are responsible to two entities. Like Nelson's linkage coordinators in all of his high schools are responsible to him. They then come down to Columbus once a month and we go through all kinds of stuff. They got to listen to me cry and plead and, you know, all that kind of stuff that a grandmama does in terms of making sure that they are focused and making sure these kids have what they need. But they're hired by the school district. The second part of your question, Jan, was, give it to me again if you can remember. No, you asked about the linkage coordinators.
Too much money spent on
how
to take a test.
Well, okay, that's a short answer, which is yes, I agree with you totally. And that basically is what I was trying to convey on the other answer that I talked about with No Child Left Behind. The weaknesses I see are not the mandatory intensive intervention, not the mandatory, how do we move the kid from X, Y, and Z, but we're damn sure going to make sure we can test them and give them a label.